Hello, and thanks for joining us on the program today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. The UK government still very concerned over the involvement of ex-minister and House of Lords member Lord Mandelson's involvement with late US offender Jeffrey Epstein. A new global analysis by the World Health Organization says 4 in 10 cancer cases worldwide could be prevented. Plus, thousands of Ukrainians suffer in the bitter cold, not just because of the weather, but the fact the power has been knocked out by a series of Russian strikes. Let's begin. He's been all over the news in the UK. Peter Mandelson, a British politician, member of the House of Lords, lobbyist and diplomat, ever since his name was revealed in the recently released Epstein files. Following the publication of emails between Mandelson and the late sex offender, he was dismissed by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. There have been further reports that Mandelson and his husband had received payments from Epstein, and that in 2009 and 2010, Mandelson allegedly passed government information to Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson has resigned from the Labour Party and from the House of Lords, and the Metropolitan Police has launched a criminal investigation into alleged misconduct in a public office. Today, however, the Prime Minister says Lord Mandelson lied repeatedly about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and he regrets appointing him as US Ambassador in 2024. Keir Starmer also told Parliament today he will release all material relating to the appointment, barring national security and international relations exemptions. But Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch accuses Mr. Starmer of trying to sabotage the release. Badenoch also asked whether the vetting mentioned Mandelson's ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and Starmer confirms it did. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has also been named in the new files relating to Jeffrey Epstein. His ex-wife, Melinda French Gates, talked about it on a podcast recently, saying she felt unbelievable sadness, remembering the painful times in her marriage. A couple divorced in 2021. Melinda says she is so happy to be away from all the muck. Records released by the U.S. Justice Department include an allegation by Epstein that Bill Gates caught a sexually transmitted disease. Gates' spokesperson has called the claim absolutely absurd. Bill Gates has not been accused of wrongdoing by any of Epstein's victims, and the appearance of his name in the files does not imply criminal activity of any kind. The billionaire has broken his silence on the release of files by the U.S. Department of Justice. In an interview with 9 News in Australia, he said the interactions with Epstein were limited to dinners and that he did not visit Epstein's island. Venezuela's economy vice president Carlito Ortega Sanchez has praised his country's progress despite restrictions, sanctions and accusations. He was speaking at the World Government Summit in Dubai earlier today. Sanchez mentions while hyperinflation and scarcity levels have been making headlines, the bright spots usually go underreported. He also said that if his country could have autonomy over its own assets, it would mean extraordinary growth. The World Government Summit 2026 in Dubai continues tomorrow, February 5. It brings together 6,000 people, including more than 35 heads of state and government, over 150 government delegations, and more than 20 heads of international and regional organizations. As the globe marks World Cancer Day, the World Health Organization and its cancer research agency, the IARC, has released a new global analysis that says up to 4 in 10 cancer cases worldwide could be prevented, as Africa faces a disproportionately high burden from preventable causes. The study found that 37% of new cancer cases in 2022 were linked to factors such as tobacco use, alcohol consumption, obesity, air pollution, and cancer-causing infections. In sub-Saharan Africa, preventable cancers among women were estimated at 38%, higher than many other regions globally. Infections play a major role on the continent, accounting for a significant share of cancer cases, particularly cervical and stomach cancers. Cervical cancer, largely caused by the human papillomavirus, remains one of the leading causes of cancer deaths among African women. The WHO says stronger prevention measures, including vaccination against HPV and hepatitis B, tobacco control, and improved access to health care could save millions of lives across the continent and ease pressure on fragile health systems. Here in Nigeria, the federal government is strengthening its healthcare system with a new partnership to expand cancer care, cardiology, and diagnostic services. The partnership involves the International Finance Corporation, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, and the private sector. The Minister of Finance, Mr. Wale Edun, says the partnership will strengthen the nation's healthcare system, improving access to quality care and making it more affordable.
Government officials and members of development finance institutions are converging to discuss the latest federal government collaboration in cancer and cardiology care. The meeting is building on the success of previous interventions to improve access for cancer patients.
Medical tourism by half has gone down, but also others are really coming for medical tourism in Nigeria. Despite all what you may hear on the quality side, things are actually getting better. And of course, the clinical governance and patient safety is a core priority we're driving.
Everything that needs to be said about the importance of the health sector as an economic engine. And then you put alongside it the various derivatives that can help grow the GDP. And you have an important driver of the new economy in Nigeria.
Under this partnership, the International Finance Corporation and the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority are partnering with the private sector to create 1,700 jobs and train 500 specialized medical professionals to address the growing burden of non-communicable diseases.
I'm very proud to say that what started off as one oncology center in Lagos and 2 diagnostic centers in Kano and Umuahia, by the end of the second quarter of this year, will become 4 oncology centers and 15 diagnostic centers across the country. And that would be impossible without the strong partnership of the World Bank and the IFC.
Bringing quality health care closer to people, earlier, more affordably, and more equitably. It reflects our shared belief that access to care should not depend on where you live or how much you earn.
The partners put pen to paper to seal the 2 memorandums of understanding. The first is to improve cancer care, and the second is to deliver transformational health infrastructure across the country. The partners are hoping that the agreements will make health care more equitable as the International Finance Corporation plans to invest $24 million under the partnership. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
We're off on a short break now on the program. Still ahead. UN Women, in partnership with Ford Foundation, holds conference with traditional rulers and in Africa on ending gender-based violence. Welcome back to The World Today. Lord Peter Mandelson been in the news all day, and since the start of the week in the United Kingdom. He's a UK House of Lords member, a lobbyist, a diplomat. Ever since his name was revealed in the recently released Epstein files, there has been an uproar all over the UK, especially on the media. Following the publication of emails between him and Jeffrey Epstein, he was dismissed by Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Mandelson resigned from the Labour Party and from the House of Lords. The Metropolitan Police has launched a criminal investigation into alleged misconduct in a police office. Today, however, the Prime Minister said at the Prime Minister's questions in Parliament, Lord Mandelson lied repeatedly about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and he regrets appointing him as US ambassador in 2024. He also told Parliament today he will release all material relating to the appointment, barring national security and international relations exemptions. However, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch, the opposing side in Parliament, accused Mr. Starmer of trying to sabotage the release. Badenoch asked whether the vetting mentioned Mandelson's ongoing relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Starmer confirms it did. Let's see if we can make sense of what's been going on. Let's bring in our London correspondent, Teniola Oyetayo, for more on this. Teniola, great to see you. This has been the biggest news in the UK ever since it broke last week. Now we're learning Mandelson informed the government about Epstein. So what's the part that's more unbelieving to the British Parliament, that Mandelson was ever involved with Epstein, or that he had informed the British government and nothing was done at the time?
Amrachi, hi, it's good to see you. I think none of it is really surprising if we understand what's been going on. The relationship has been public knowledge for some time, but we start to see the extent of their relationship last September, which eventually led to Mandelson being removed as the US ambassador. I think more information coming to light with the release of the documents last Friday is just how deep that relationship was, and it's leading to even more questions about the Prime Minister's judgment standing by Lord Mandelson, even though there was a briefing delivered to the Prime Minister on the reputational risk in appointing him. For example, it's been known for a while that Lord Mandelson stayed in Epstein's flat in New York. That was while he was serving his prison term. And we know that they communicated all the way up till 2016. There's just that outrage and more questions the more we learn. Now, we also know that there are at least 2 occasions on which it's alleged Epstein handed large sums of money to Lord Mandelson or his partner. We also know he referred to Epstein as his best friend. So it's just a lot more coming, and it's raising a lot of questions about the Prime Minister's judgment, like you mentioned. Keir Starmer has now said that he was misled. He has accused Lord Mandelson of lying and says that he regrets appointing him as US ambassador. The Prime Minister earlier also told Parliament that he will release all materials relating to the appointment, but he added that that's barring national security and international relations exemptions. But that's also led to more outrage with Labour MPs saying that the Prime Minister is trying to hide certain things and is calling for the release of all the documents. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But it does, raise more questions about the Prime Minister's judgment, that he was aware of this relationship. So how come Mandelson was able to, be appointed as the US ambassador, which is a highly sought after role?
Yeah, it does sound a little bit suspicious. But there's also the unveiling of messages between Mandelson and Epstein regarding government officials, birthday messages, lots of sexual talk as well. Is the government worried that Mandelson may have revealed some very important information about the UK government to Epstein that probably gave him some leverage or some advantage in his trafficking activities and the likes?
We have to remember, we don't know everything yet. So all the files haven't been released. So there's a lot of questions as to what other information we don't know. What we do know for now is that the files show evidence that Mandelson, then business secretary in Gordon Brown's government, advised Epstein on how the investment bank, JP Morgan, might lobby the government on plans for a tax on bankers' bonuses. Emails were also exchanged about plans for the 500 billion euro bailout of the single currency in 2010. We know that he's now being investigated by the police for leaking of market sensitive information and Downing Street emails. So it is quite drastic when you look at how he would receive an email and forward it to Epstein. So we don't know exactly what occurred in person. We don't know what occurred over the phone. We don't know what information had been released. So I think that's the major worry, and that's where the outrage comes from, is that he had such a close personal relationship with Epstein, but there seemed to be no security in mind. He was forwarding messages. What else had he forwarded that we have no idea about?
Right. And Teniola, just before you go, another thing is pictures showing a member of the royal family, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who was very involved in Epstein's sex parties, and despite his denial over the years, there's picture evidence now showing that Andrew was in those parties. He was involved with underage girls. How has the British public been reacting to this, and what sort of backlash is this having on the royal family?
I think we've seen the backlash over time. I mean, when all these came to light, there were serious questions. We've seen him being stripped of his title. But now it's shifted more to, with so much questions and Epstein not being here to answer, Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew, is under mounting pressure to give evidence about his relationship with the late convicted sex offender. We know that pictures appearing to show the former prince kneeling on all fours over a female lying on the ground, like has been shown, were included. But he has faced these allegations for a while now, which is he has repeatedly denied them, and repeatedly denied that he has sexually assaulted a teenager after she said she was trafficked by Epstein. But there is really no coming back from this for the king's brother. We know he has been asked to leave his official residence, and we've seen the royal family quite boldly distance themselves from Prince Andrew. So from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are saying now is the time for him to sort of kind of redeem himself by speaking out. And because he's been very quiet, apart from denying the allegations, he's been very quiet regarding them. So people are saying he could speak up, he could tell the public what he does know, to sort of redeem himself and to let people know, or to fill those gaps. There's a lot of questions. The more documents we see, the more files we see, there's a lot more questions. People saying he could redeem himself by speaking, but so far he's been very mute. He was pictured yesterday horse riding in the residence that he's been told to leave. There seems to just be a kind of, he doesn't care at the moment, and he doesn't really care. Everything has been laid out, so he's just basically watching it all play out.
Wow. Tenny, thanks for breaking it down for us on the program today. Teniola Oyetayo, our correspondent in London. Well, we're in Ukraine now, where President Volodymyr Zelensky says more than 200 repair crews are working to restore power in the capital, Kyiv, following widespread deadly Russian attacks targeting the country's energy sector. According to the president, more than 1,100 apartments, buildings in Kyiv are still without power. In the eastern Ukrainian town of Druzhkiva, 7 people were killed, 15 injured in Russian cluster bomb strikes. Moscow has recently renewed its attacks after a week-long pause that U.S. President Donald Trump had asked Vladimir Putin to observe as a fierce cold swept Ukraine. Meanwhile, U.S., Ukrainian and Russian officials are again in Abu Dhabi to discuss details of a peace plan. However, there are a few signs a breakthrough is imminent during the second round of such trilateral talks in the United Arab Emirates. The UN Women and its partners has been holding discussions with African traditional community leaders in a conference focused on driving norms change and gender-based violence prevention through cultural custodianship in Lagos. Well, this year's conference drew participation from traditional leaders within and outside Nigeria.
Who are not easily seen.
For 2 days, officials of the UN's Agency for Women, UN Women, several traditional leaders within and outside Nigeria, and government representatives have been brainstorming the issue of gender-based violence. Speaking on the sidelines of the event, Regional Director, United Nations Women, West and Central Africa, Dr. Maxine Winato, explains why Nigeria is championing this cause.
Addressing traditional issues like transforming norms, making norms progress, has become critical in addressing gender-based violence. And we have seen Nigeria spending a lot of efforts to help women in the economy, help women in the politics, like participation of women in politics and decision-making. And this area is an area now that we are seeing a lot of progress.
When traditional leaders speak against harmful practices, when you declare that widows must not be dispossessed, that girls must not be harmed in the name of custom, that no household should tolerate abuse, you do more than enforce rules.
The Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Akin Abayomi, is here to show support and share insights into efforts at curbing the issue in the state.
We ensure survivor support systems, strengthen reporting mechanisms, and legal enforcement. Our Ministry of Women's Affairs and Poverty Alleviation continues to advance policies that protect families, empower women, and address the socio-economic vulnerabilities that fuel abuse.
Some of Nigeria's most prominent traditional rulers have prioritized their attendance and share wisdom applied in dealing with the issue in their areas of jurisdiction.
Marriages are between families, so we give our daughter to you. Take her as your daughter, and if you harm her, she comes back to us, and we'll protect her. So, in the 21st century, there's no place for gender-based violence.
In Agbo, as you can see, this is one of my female chiefs. That's how I've decided to approach things. My father was the first to have made some female chiefs in Agbo, and I intend to make many, many more. For me personally, how I've helped in Agbo, when it comes to cases like divorce, in my kingdom at the palace, I try to make sure that if a divorce is going to be imminent, that the man is made to take his responsibilities.
Culture is a way of life, and it is man-made. This means it is subject to change. The UN Women hopes these traditional rulers will help change the norms and practices for the better. We're done with the world today. Thanks for being with us. I'm Amarachi Uvani.